They are calling it a tense moment on Venezuela's long, slow-burning crisis, a country shaped by oil, wealth, political polarization, and a decade of collapse, now rattled by renewed military posturing, a fractured opposition, and deepening economic pain. Venezuela's military and government say they are preparing for a possible foreign attack and have intensified internal security measures.
Un ánimo de verdad y una elevada moral especial para los comandos de la defensa integral, así se va a llamar, ley especial para los comandos de ir contra la guerra, de ir contra la violencia, de ir contra el genocidio. Somos amantes de la paz, amamos profundamente la paz, no queremos guerras ni aquí ni en ninguna parte del mundo, pero si llegan a tocar a Venezuela, bueno, aquí nos van a conseguir. Pásense por las calles, pásense por los cuarteles, pásense por las comunas, pásense por las unidades comunales de milicia y ahí verán un pueblo determinado a defender esta patria hasta la muerte. Así que bueno, hay un rechazo unánime mundial en contra de la agresión imperialista y en contra de la pretensión de los Estados Unidos de mantenerse como hegemón del mundo, como policía del mundo. Y nosotros aquí en Venezuela nos mantenemos firmes con el ideario bolivariano de independencia, libertad y soberanía plena para nuestro pueblo.
While the opposition, re-energized by international recognition and a Nobel for one of its leaders, remains divided about how to respond. Meanwhile, ordinary Venezuelans are paying the price, soaring prices, shrinking oil exports, and millions living as displaced people across the region. 2 days ago, Reuters reported that Venezuela's armed forces have been running contingency planning and preparing military forces for what President Nicolas Maduro frames as a potential external threat. The government has portrayed the mobilization as defensive training civilians and expanding pro-government militias, but analysts warn that the same forces are also used to intimidate dissent at home. The signal is clear. Caracas wants to deter foreign intervention and show strength to a public shaken by talk of outside pressure. That international pressure is real and complicated. In the recent months, the US and some allies have tightened sanctions, increased diplomatic isolation, and stepped up rhetoric, including military posturing in the region, while other countries and companies continue to trade with Caracas for oil. The result is a geopolitical tug-of-war that raises the stakes inside Venezuela. Sanctions squeeze the economy, while any hint of foreign intervention becomes fodder for Maduro's nationalist narrative. On the political front, the opposition is both energized and fractured. The movement received a surprising boost this year when opposition leader María Corina Machado was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a symbol of global recognition that has lifted morale among many opponents of Maduro. Yet Reuters and other outlets report growing splits between opposition factions over tactics. Some favor confrontation and pressuring international pressure, while others push for negotiation and pragmatic deals. That split matters because it weakens a united front at a moment when a coherent strategy could influence both domestic and international outcomes. The Maduro government has also continued a pattern of repression that human rights organizations and independent monitors document repeatedly. In the run-up to and after last year's disputed elections, thousands were detained in protest and dozens of opposition figures were jailed and forced into exile. Human Rights Watch and others say many arrests were arbitrary and that political rights have been curtailed, a backdrop that helps explain why opposition leaders sometimes choose secrecy or exile over open organizing. All of this unfolds against a crushing economic reality for Venezuelans on the ground. The International Monetary Fund's country data shows consumer prices continuing at hyperinflationary levels with very high projected inflation for 2025. Venezuelans face runaway prices, collapsing purchasing power, and a fragile currency. At the same time, state oil company export volumes have fallen recently as inventories and balance shrink, reducing foreign currency receipts and constraining imports, a vicious circle for an economy built on oil that can no longer reliably produce or sell enough crude. The human fallout is regional and massive. UN agencies report that nearly 7 million Venezuelans remain displaced across Latin America and the Caribbean, placing sustained stress on host countries and family networks. Aid agencies warn of acute humanitarian needs inside Venezuela, from food and medicines to basic services, and have appealed for funds to respond to the emergency. Migration is not only a statistic, it's millions of disrupted lives and long-term strains on neighbors like Colombia, Peru, and beyond. So, what could tip the balance next? Analysts point to a few key variables: whether the opposition can cohere around a single strategy and leadership, whether international actors escalate or dial down pressure, and whether Venezuelans' oil revenues recover enough to stabilize state finances. Domestic factors matter too. Protest splits within the military and the regime's own choices about repression versus limited concessions. Any of these could accelerate or prolong the stalemate. For Venezuelans, the immediate concerns are practical. Will prices keep rising? Will medicines and fuel reach hospitals? And can family afford to stay? For the region and the world, the question is how to respond in a way that reduces suffering without inflaming conflict further. Right now, Caracas is signaling defensive readiness. The opposition is alternately defiant and divided. Global players are hedging between sanctions and engagement, and millions of ordinary people are left navigating daily hardship. For more such explainers, subscribe to DawnNews English.